Last year as we celebrated the 20th anniversary, one of the big events we did was our Junkies Poker Open in Vegas.
Yes.
And the reason we really were able to do that was because Geoff Freeman and the good people of the American Gaming Association sponsored that trip.
They hooked
It was a
it.
fantastic success.
I want to go
Geoff
back.
is
think we
back
are.
with us. He is the president and CEO of the American Gaming Association. Morning, Geoff.
Good morning, boys. Good to be with you.
Welcome.
What's up, Jeff?
We were just talking about the Super Bowl and what a great game that was and all the money that was actually wagered on that game. Tell us how much total was wagered on that game.
So there were about 4.7 billion was wagered on the Super Bowl just in the U.S. alone. Only 130 million of that was done legally. In
How can you
Nevada.
monitor? How can you monitor that? How do you have any idea of that?
It's all based on. To be honest, it's all based on estimates with data that's been gathered in years past. It's a pretty good estimate based on what happens legally in Nevada and what you extrapolate for the rest of the U.S. But it's all going to every place that Lurch is telling them to go to. It's all going to Bovada. It's all going to all these other places.
Yeah.
None of it's supporting tax revenue here in the U.S. It's all funding other activities. I feel great, though.
See, Geoff is a listener of the show.
Right,
Come
right.
to learn that you've been listening to our show for several years now. I think he was an IMAS guy, right?
I wasn't.
He used to listen to the I-Man, and then he's listened to us for many, many years.
Nice.
And he knows that Lurch places all of these bets, and you're right, none of them are through Vegas. Not one.
No, I've got a human bookie,
Right.
and I've got an online bookie.
Right, but it'd be so much easier if it could just be local and legal.
I mean, yeah, of course, obviously, but
Right, like
it's legal in my world.
If we could go to MGM National
It's
Harbor.
been legal in my world since I was 16.
No one's arrested you ever.
Not at all. So what percent? Do you know what percentage of, let's just say, the Super Bowl betting? You say it's 4.7 billion. 130 million was legal.
97% illegal.
All right. So what percentage of that 97% went to like live bookies?
The majority of that is going offshore online.
So it's all online.
That's where most of it's going. It's just too easy not to do it that way. But the amazing part about this is we have a failed law from 1992 that says Americans outside Nevada can't bet on sports. My friends who all go down to National Harbor, they're like, where's the sports book? We want to enjoy this. They don't get the federal government got in the way. They said you can't do this. But yet we ignore it. We have this law, but yet here we are on airwaves telling people go to Bovada, go everywhere else, and nobody cares.
Right.
So we're trying to fix this. We're working with the leagues. We're working with owners. I think we're making extraordinary progress.
What was
And
this vote that was just had recently in Maryland?
So what Maryland is looking at is fantastic. New York has already done this. Louisiana, Mississippi, Pennsylvania are all looking at it. They're all putting in place a way for them to be able to bet on sports as soon as the federal government gets out of the way. So they're preparing their state to be able to have a sports book up and running when the federal government gets out of the way, which is great. We need more pressure on Washington to do that, so we feel good about it.
If it's green, if they get the green light federally,
They're ready to go.
MGM's going to have it in like a month.
You got MGM, you got Maryland Live, you got Horseshoe up the road. All
Right.
these
They're all
places
gonna
are
have
ready to go
Now,
once it gets legalized.
Now, let me ask you this. Will this include an online way for me to do it? Because, frankly, it's a lot easier for me to just go online to some shady site.
Even in Nevada, where you've got sports books, about 2/3 of all the money wagered on sports is done mobile. So
Perfect.
that's the way people want to do this. They will
Right.
find a way to do it in
Convenience.
these various places. Part of it will be sports books. Part of it will probably be in a mobile fashion. That's where this is going, and I can guarantee you, based on my discussions with them, that's where the leagues are excited. The idea of you sitting at home with a 1-2 count and you're betting if the next pitch is a ball or strike, and you're putting a side bet on double play, that's where this is going.
In-game
Yeah.
betting. How great is that?
Who owns these offshore like the Bet Us's, the sports books, the Bovada? Are these American companies or the international companies?
These are guys who all they all have criminal charges against them. They're based in the Caribbean. They're based in the Philippines. They're traveling around the world.
And they
Right,
just
but I
don't
mean,
care.
who
They-
are they? Do we know who they are?
Well, Calvin Ayer is one great example.
That's the Bodog guy.
That's the
That's
Bodog
Part of the
guy
shady
who's-
criminal underworld.
No,
from the sound of
he's
it.
decided he's basically going to live his life on the lam,
Exactly.
basically, right?
I'm going to avoid the U.S., avoid any place that has extradition treaties with the
So
U.S.
where is he? Is he still like in Costa
I have
Rica?
last I heard, I think he was in the Philippines.
He was in the Philippines,
so
and he just like lives in a mansion and has parties and just does his thing.
Doesn't sound like a bad life, huh?
What are they doing in Europe?
So Europe is a great story. I was just over in London last week meeting with a lot of these guys with Bet365, Betway, BetChris, and all these companies that are doing very well, operating in the UK, operating in Australia, operating in South Africa. Some of them operating, and let's face it, some of them operating in China, where there is a ungodly sum of money wagered. If you watch EPL games now, you won't even understand why, but they've got advertisements all over the stadium in Chinese, and they're just targeting that Chinese customer, that Chinese bettor, and it's making promotions and sales of EPL jerseys go off the charts.
Do
So
do the Chinese like to bet on American sports?
They don't really, to date,
Or they
my
just don't
understanding is
understand
they
it?
don't really have a way to. They don't really have an understanding of it because their only access is the UK sports books and
Right.
some others. They haven't been able to really find this market.
Gotcha.
Joined by Geoff Freeman. He is the president and CEO of the American Gaming Association. Where is this with Congress? Like, where are your holdups?
Sure. You've got legislation that's already been introduced. Frank Pallone from New Jersey is very, very passionate about this issue. I think the key is, JP, we need to work with the leagues before Congress really pushes anything. We need to make sure the gaming industry and the leagues are on the same page. If we're on the same page, and I was up in New York this week, we're making great progress on that. If we're on the same page, we'll get this done in Congress. Trump has already come out during the campaign and said that he supports a regulated sports betting market. We need to make sure the leagues and the industry are in a good place, broadcasters are in a good place, law enforcement's in a good place. That's where all the work is right now. I don't think we're that far from good legislation within the next year or so that can move pretty quickly.